Hello everybody, it is the me, Game Penguin 21, and today... Alright, so with Forza Horizon 5 now essentially coming over to PlayStation, what's interesting news that's been happening over there has kind of caused at least a few people to crash out on Twitter. Now, I haven't actually seen a lot of people talking about this, or at least none of the major players. The one that I did find a very, very vocal person about this would be Japan Hates Xbox. We'll get to him in a bit. But what's the basic news that's been going on? Well, the biggest thing is that for Forza Horizon 5, you are required to have a Microsoft account for it. And, well, again, some people are not happy with this. My own personal opinion, you really shouldn't have to make an account for anything specific in that context because it's annoying and stupid to have to sign into multiple accounts on one device because it just gets annoying to do so. And yeah, certainly this is coming from a PC guy who does that, and again, I have my reasons for it, and some people might call me a hypocrite if I make fun of these guys. Well, here's the thing, right? I'm not. I'm still against it, but I just find it interesting how these guys were complaining, and these guys are complaining, about having to make an account when just a few months ago, when Helldivers 2 happened, yeah, they had no sympathy for us. So you get no sympathy for me because, well, you're just being dumb. In any case, with that being said, if you like what it is that I do want to support me in any other way, shape, or form other than a like and subscribe, which is always enough, please hit those links down in the description. Maybe donate to the channel if you really feel like it. Overall, let's get started with, of course, Japan Hates Xbox. Now, Japan Hates Xbox basically had his whole thing where he retweeted from Insider Gaming of, "This is an outrage. You must publicly apologize and remove this requirement at Xbox. We will not be inconvenienced by you. If you want our money, cater to our every need. We refuse to make Microsoft accounts to play the games that are rightfully ours." Oh boy. Where do I begin with this? Well, for one, the whole thing with the self-righteousness of, oh, we are the best gamers, therefore we deserve the best. We'll be continuing throughout this at least opening segment. You'll see him double and even triple down in this context. It got so bad that he actually ended up getting ratioed so bad that he had to make like a public redaction or something kind of, but at the end of the day he was trying to make it satire. And again, if you want more developments on those specific things other than what I'm going to be covering in this video, there is a video that I think was made by Klutzy King in his channel if you want to go and check him out. But here is him actually doubling down in this context where Penendemen8 said, "Didn't stop you from saying this when it was happening to PC players. When the Helldivers 2 thing happened, he basically tweeted out the following. Some PC beggars, sorry PC beggars, but this isn't your game at the end of the day. You're dead weight. Who came along for the ride. Make a PSN and stop crying. You aren't entitled to jack shit from Sony." And I mean, this is the same logic that you would be using. This is the same logic that, like, any fanboy would use where it's like you're not owned to jack anything from the company, which I don't think any fanboy would talk about that now that I'm thinking about it. But, I mean, you aren't owned jack shit from Sony either, except maybe to just buy their product and just hope that they work. But more importantly, and one of, if not the stupidest things here, is that he ends up, again, doubling down, saying PC isn't entitled to anything from Sony, but Sony is entitled to everything from Xbox. Xbox is our bitch now. They conceded defeat to the victor go the spoils, i.e. we get to purchase their games on our system now. So, I mean, you already can still do that. It's just that now you have to, make a Microsoft account if you really care about it. And overall, you kind of have to, unless they decide to retract it. It's not your decision whether or not you do it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Again, I would use the same logic if, like, I was on my platform, too. There's an extra requirement for an extra thing. I don't really want to do that. Next up here, we have Luperufno talking about how now you see what PC players dislike about the PSN requirements, where Japan hates Xbox now triples down and says different situations entirely. PS5 gamers are first class and must be catered to. We won gaming. PC losers, on the other hand, never listened or should never be listened to, especially not by Sony. Ah, yes, they should never be listened to on Sony's behalf, despite the fact that they've already been listened to on a number of occasions when they walked back the, requirements that were previously being clowned on by this man earlier. They also then decided to walk back it on other situations where they decided to have it be a requirement because they realized, this is going to be affecting our sales. If it affects Microsoft sales at all, then more power to Microsoft for not requiring doing that or just reversing it or whatever. Saying that PC gamers are saying that PlayStation 1 gaming, despite the fact that their numbers have kind of staggered and that they aren't even the biggest monthly active user base, that actually ends up going to PC at 132 plus people monthly actively, that is, with 116 being the last time that I checked specifically for PlayStation. And with the growingness of recently hitting 40 million, I think in the past month, due to Monster Hunter Wilds, certainly PlayStation 1 gaming, sure. Anyway, Jazz here says Xbox gradual takeover of PlayStation continues with Forza Horizon 5, which will require to set up a Microsoft account. Now, this in and of itself isn't the stupidest article, but this is the first Xbox fanboyism article I've seen in quite some time, actually. So, but yeah, a lot of these are going to be, a lot of the next section is going to be a little bit of replies to this, and then we'll just get into that. So Vamp Icon says, does it support cross-save when you play with your existing Xbox account? Someone says yes, but Tom Warren basically says it actually does not support cross-platform saves between Xbox and PlayStation 5, which I do find interesting, but also not unexpected because they kind of have to go through PlayStation for that, and I think PlayStation has to allow specific assets to be contained within that. I'm not sure why or why not this is, but I do find it a little bit BS that, Xbox isn't allowing cross-platform saves between their Microsoft accounts and their other thing. Maybe it just has to do with, again, how PlayStation operates and how they want to prevent that from happening, but at the end of the day, I have no idea. But making a quick slop over to the other slop of push square here. Remza says, making an account always has preservation problems. It's just when it happens to one side that they are the loudest to bitch about it. And he's basically talking about how there's going to be having some preservation problems on places like PlayStation and stuff like that. Now, I do agree that in some cases, at least in this context, making an account with the thing does mean that it does have some sort of shelf life. It's usually longer, but I would more specifically talk about how the actual servers themselves are the reasons for this game's lifespan, because again, this game has always online functions, or at least has some online functionality, and therefore has problems with that. It's overall quite the interesting topic, I guess, to talk about. It's just strange to me how again, one side, when they're told to suck it up when they need to make a PSN account, but when it comes to their own side and they have to make an account for something else, then that means that they now have a problem with it, and they don't see the hypocrisy in that fucking statement. So, yeah. M here saying, I decided not to play Doom Eternal because it required a Bethesda account. I'm simply skipping this game. Thank you, PCMR brethren, for teaching me that free accounts are tyranny. Now, I know that that's mainly supposed to be a gotcha or supposed to be some sort of general roast, but I mean, I still agree that free accounts or even just making a separate account for a video game or two is annoying. And unless that account is handled in a specific way because, there are problems with it for say a free-to-play game to make an account for that, that's understandable because they run its things off their own servers. Hence why I have an account for Embark Studios, which is for the finals. Again, that's because I like the game, and it's not as intrusive as, say, making an entire separate account for an entire separate launcher, which, again, PlayStation has that sort of thing. It's not like, these accounts are the worst in the world, and again, I guess I've slightly softened to that, but I still think that it is bullshit that you have to, make an entire account for certain games. Unless in very specific niche circumstances, you really shouldn't have to do that. But now we actually have some Xbox PlayStation W salt, if that makes any sense, where Ashtare Gaming comes in here saying Xbox owns your soul, talking about how your soul is mine in the gift. This is one of the only Xbox-centric ones that I remember seeing, other than maybe that thing and maybe one other in there, because they're trying to make this seem like it's a W. We'll get into why it's not necessarily a W, but also kind of a W. But overall, very strange take to have. X square circle triangle here says this is not a problem, but it's a problem when you require a PSN. Yes, it's really a problem when you require extra accounts for anything. It is a problem regardless of what you say. It gets annoying and it gets very stupid and upsetting. And I know that you're trying to make fun of the PC guys, but again, Sony has a track record of being not as secure as some of the other places that are offering accounts in this context. Saying overall that it's just another account means that, you already have tens of whatever accounts, and having more causes your cybersecurity to technically become less, and it's just very annoying. Next up here, we have J2 Death saying, "Don't cry now. Y'all were very outspoken about needing a Sony account on PC." I mean, yeah, we were very outspoken, at least the PC guys. And it's like, hey, don't cry now when you get a taste of your own medicine and, you're required an account for a game that you want to buy. Again, I agree that saying that one side should suck it up while the other side says, we don't need to suck it up because we are the exception to the rule, is incorrect and very stupid to kind of talk about, which is mainly the reason why I'm making this video, to make fun of those same people. Brian Cooper basically coming back with a "we don't care." I saw the sentiment very much a lot from certain people saying, we don't care. We're not going to buy this game because of this reason or that reason, or because it's an Xbox game. It doesn't really matter what your reason is, but again, if you just didn't care, why did you make the tweet in the first place? Next up, we have Megan of Orc saying, salivating off of Xbox games and wishing the Xbox console goes away. All you have to do is sign into that Microsoft account and add 500 million MAU to make your wishes come through. Be careful what you wish for, though. You might make Xbox even stronger. Again, one of, if not the weirdest things here, is that they still don't realize that buying a Microsoft game on the actual PlayStation Store isn't actually a gotcha against Microsoft, because guess what? They're now supporting Microsoft, despite the fact that, they're only taking about 70%. Yeah, but you're still a sale that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten if they had kept those games exclusive to their own platform. This is why Sony and extension, certain other companies have been going a lot of multi-platform, despite the fact that they had historically, at least previously in some cases, had been persistently exclusive to the console platform, because the console platform isn't growing as much as it was back in its heyday. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that it's not growing, it's just that it's not a good thing. Next up here, we have Agilus saying PlayStation fans need to accept this for their own benefit. In the future, when Xbox sells their old games at full price to PlayStation players, it will be a seamless experience without needing to enter credit card details. You'll still need to enter credit card details, obviously, because, those games still need to be purchased through people. But I just find it really dumb how, again, they continue to say PSN is the best place to play, despite the fact that they have had a number of security issues, and that you should basically just give your information to PlayStation. But when they need to give their information over to play their own games for stuff, guess what? They unfortunately can't, because they are hypocrites about it. Jance A. Vision saying Microsoft just gets worse and worse every day. There really is... I don't know why this person decided to tweet this, and I mean, I don't say that they are the worst company. They're definitely not one of the best companies out there. I think that Valve still kind of handily holds that title of being the quote-unquote best, despite the fact that they are not even the best, but they still make some of the best decisions for consumers. And overall, they might make a misstep every now and again, but I haven't really seen one. But I just find it weird how they're saying Microsoft gets worse and worse every day, despite the fact that, again, PlayStation has been under investigation for artificially increasing their prices in terms of the UK administration. Very interesting developments to be there. Noir comes in saying, that's not a W for Xbox fans, by the way. This is just a scheme to inflate investors and make it look like Xbox is more desired than it is. I mean, yeah. You could also kind of make the logic in that context that that's what Sony was trying to do. And, you know, how it wasn't a W for Sony when they did it for Helldivers, and they were just trying to inflate their numbers, which, again, is very obvious from both of these situations. Again, I think that you also needed a Microsoft account for Sea of Thieves, but I guess that it wasn't big or popular enough to get a lot of people upset and up in arms about this. Like Mr. Fantastic Mr. Tembo here, with just a bunch of tomato emojis, which basically has his sentiment of this is garbage. So, again, kind of there. Brian Wood, again, coming from the more neutral-ish perspective, saying nobody cares. Forza Horizon's gonna be PS fans for the most played game of the year. I don't think so, because, again, the Forza games have been very popular, but I don't know. This will, again, limit the actual market reach of this and they might drop it. Maybe they're just testing it for one reason or another. But again, not offering cross-save to me is just the most upsetting thing. But I don't think that that's Microsoft's decision at the end of the day. Kim says, okay, I don't care, required a Microsoft account, blah, blah. And yeah, really nothing too much there. Just I don't care, really. And again, Sealand 7 region here says, the Trojan horse, talking about how Microsoft forcing the PlayStation 5 or whatever. But again, I don't really think that, like, this whole thing is that big of news, and quite honestly, it's just annoying because, again, they are very much hypocrites as shown before, and they get very little sympathy from me for their complaints about it because they didn't, like, heed our complaints or didn't really care for our side either. Not that, again, I don't really mind not liking individuals. I really don't hold grudges either, and this is more of just a caricature that I'm playing. But I guess to really shred home the actual hypocrisy here, we'll talk about how Ripple is saying that PC gaming has better than ever before. Xbox and PlayStation busy throwing punches over exclusives. PC gamers are just over here sipping tea and playing everything. Who's the real MVP of gaming? And I do not detect literally any sorts of, anything wrong with that. Whereas Wolverine PS5 year comes in with a janky port after janky port, compliant component prices skyrocketing with low availability, weirdos, PC gaming is better than ever before. Yes, two issues that are very fixable by just waiting on patches and also, not buying the games if you're not interested in them and, spending your money where they want to be. And prices skyrocketing with low availability, which usually comes down to, just sitting and waiting, and you don't actually need to upgrade your parts. So two very fixable and preventable issues that a person might have, but PC gaming is better than before. Yes, because again, we are actually growing, because again, that 40 million players was hit during the launch window, or the launch area of Monster Hunter Wilds. Oops. But I think that overall, that'll about do it for this episode of I Rant into this microphone until the entirety of my computer dies on me for no reason But if you like what it is that I do and want to support me in any other way, shape, or form, other than a like and subscribe, which will always be enough. I'd like to hit 1.5k by the end of the year. I know we can do it, please and thank you. But other than a like and subscribe, you can hit all the stuff down in the description. Maybe make a donation to the channel. Maybe just support me on some of the other stuff and watch me doing things. I'm going to be releasing my next album, or not my next album, my next single, I should say, which is Take Me Higher, or Higher something. The last of the bits is still a little bit trying to figure out a title. Overall, that will be releasing sometime later. I'll be releasing a speed paint of that later down the month, probably into next month, so just wait on that. Overall, and then that'll about do it for me today. If you like, again, my name is GamePenguin21, and a peace. Hey,